November 22, 1963. A sunny afternoon in Dallas, Texas. Suddenly, gunshots echo in the streets. The world holds its breath. The 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, has just been shot. What led to this moment? John Fitzgerald Kennedy, or Jack as his family called him, was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was the second of 9 children born to Joseph and Rose Kennedy, a wealthy and influential family. His father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., was a successful businessman and politician, serving as the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. The Kennedys were known for their strong Irish Catholic roots, and they emphasized the importance of public service, education, and competition. Growing up in such a big family was not easy, especially when competition was fierce. The Kennedy children were always encouraged to aim for greatness, and John was no exception. Though his elder brother, Joe Jr., was seen as the family's golden child, John had his own ambitions. As a child, John was often sick. He had scarlet fever, measles, and even chronic back pain, which troubled him for most of his life. Despite his health issues, John was determined to excel. He attended several prestigious schools, eventually enrolling at Harvard University in 1936. At Harvard, John studied government and international relations, which laid the foundation for his future in politics. John F. Kennedy's life took a major turn during World War II. After graduating from Harvard, he joined the U.S. Navy in 1941. He was assigned to command a patrol torpedo boat in the Pacific Theater. In August 1943, Kennedy's boat, PT-109, was rammed by a Japanese destroyer, causing a horrific explosion and throwing Kennedy and his crew into the water. For hours, they clung to debris. Despite a severe back injury, Kennedy managed to swim, pulling an injured crew member to safety. After days of struggle, they were rescued, and Kennedy became a war hero. His courage earned him the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. The incident cemented his reputation as a leader and someone who would sacrifice for his team. It also became a defining moment in his life, boosting his image back home. After the war, tragedy struck the Kennedy family. John's older brother, Joe Jr., who had been the family's hope for political greatness, died in a bombing mission during the war. With Joe Jr.'s death, the responsibility of carrying on the Kennedy political legacy fell to John. Despite his health problems, he decided to run for Congress. In 1946, John F. Kennedy was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from Massachusetts. He was young, energetic, and quickly gained attention. His political career was off to a great start. Kennedy spent 6 years in the House before running for the U.S. Senate in 1952, where he won a seat after a tough campaign. During his time in the Senate, Kennedy's back problems worsened, and he had to undergo several surgeries. Despite this, he continued his work in politics, gaining a reputation as a forward-thinking and determined senator. He championed civil rights and labor issues, which helped him gain support among the working class. By the late 1950s, John F. Kennedy was becoming a household name. His charm, intelligence, and good looks made him a popular figure, and many people saw him as the future of American politics. In 1960, he decided to run for president. However, his path to the White House was not easy. Kennedy faced several challenges during his presidential campaign. First, he was Catholic, and no Catholic had ever been elected president in the U.S. Many people were concerned that his faith would influence his decisions as president. Kennedy addressed this concern head-on in a famous speech, where he promised to keep his faith separate from his duties as president. His ability to confront these issues directly impressed many Americans. His main opponent was Richard Nixon, the sitting vice president under Dwight D. Eisenhower. The two engaged in the first-ever televised presidential debates, and Kennedy's calm and composed appearance contrasted sharply with Nixon's tense and sweaty demeanor. Kennedy's performance in these debates gave him an edge, and he won the election by one of the smallest margins in U.S. history. On January 20, 1961, John F. Kennedy was inaugurated as the 35th President of the United States. At just 43 years old, he was the youngest president ever elected. In his famous inaugural address, he inspired Americans with the words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Kennedy's time in office was marked by both successes and challenges. One of his early initiatives was the establishment of the Peace Corps, a program that encouraged Americans to volunteer in developing countries, helping with education, health care, and other important services. This program continues to have a positive impact around the world. However, not everything went smoothly for Kennedy. In 1961, he authorized the Bay of Pigs invasion, an unsuccessful attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro's government in Cuba. The invasion failed disastrously, and Kennedy took full responsibility for the debacle. But perhaps Kennedy's most significant challenge came during the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. The U.S. discovered that the Soviet Union had placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. For 13 tense days, the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war. Kennedy worked tirelessly to find a peaceful solution, eventually convincing Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev to remove the missiles in exchange for a U.S. promise not to invade Cuba. This was seen as a major victory for Kennedy and a moment of true leadership under extreme pressure. Another important aspect of Kennedy's presidency was his support for the civil rights movement. Although progress was slow and opposition fierce, Kennedy pushed for racial equality and began laying the groundwork for what would become the Civil Rights Act of 1964, passed after his death. Kennedy also had a bold vision for the future. He believed in the potential of space exploration and set an ambitious goal for America, to land a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s. His challenge to NASA led to the Apollo program, which ultimately succeeded in 1969, fulfilling his dream. Despite his many successes, Kennedy's presidency was cut tragically short. On November 22, 1963, while traveling in an open-top car through Dallas, Texas, he was shot and killed. The nation was in shock. Kennedy, a symbol of hope and progress, was gone. His assassination remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in American history. The man accused of killing him, Lee Harvey Oswald, was arrested, but he was shot and killed just 2 days later, raising countless questions and conspiracy theories that continue to surround Kennedy's death. John F. Kennedy's life was brief but impactful. He served as president for just under 3 years, but his legacy lives on. His words, "We choose to go to the moon," and "Ask not what your country can do for you," still inspire millions. His presidency marked a turning point in American politics, and his ideas on civil rights, foreign policy, and public service continue to shape the world today. Kennedy's death left a profound void, but it also solidified his place in history as a leader who dared to dream big and inspire hope, even in times of great uncertainty. His tragic end only added to his myth, making him a lasting symbol of what America can achieve when it believes in itself. And that was the extraordinary life of John F. Kennedy. A man who faced immense challenges, but never wavered in his vision for a better, more united world. If you found his story as inspiring as we did, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories from history.